Systems of nonlinear equations. So we can solve systems of nonlinear equations very similarly to how we solve systems of linear equations. We can use substitution and elimination. So let's first look at substitution. For example, let's look at the system x squared plus y squared equals 13 and x squared minus y equals 7. So this second equation has a variable without a coefficient, so I'm going to solve the second equation for y. So x squared minus y equals 7 becomes negative y equals 7 minus x squared, or dividing everything by negative 1, y equals negative 7 plus x squared. And now I'm going to take the negative 7 plus x squared and substitute it in for y squared in the first equation. So x squared plus something squared equals 13. And I'm going to substitute in negative 7 plus x squared. This becomes x squared plus 49 minus 14x squared plus x to the fourth equals 13. Combining like terms and putting it in standard form, x to the fourth minus 13x squared plus 49 equals 13. Subtract 13 from both sides. X to the fourth minus 13x squared plus 36 equals 0. So now we need to solve this quartic equation, but this is of quadratic form, so I can let u equal x squared, and u squared will equal x to the fourth. Substituting in, we get u to the second minus 13u plus 36 equals 0. This factors to u minus 4 times u minus 9 equals 0. Set each of the factors equal to 0, and u equals 4 or u equals 9. So if u equals 4, let's substitute back in x squared for u. X squared equals 4. Take the square root of both sides and we get that x equals plus or minus 2. And if u equals 9, substitute back in x squared for u, and x squared equals 9. Take the square root of both sides, x equals plus or minus 3. Okay, so these are the x values. We still need to find the y values by substituting back into y equals negative 7 plus x squared. So, if x equals 2, then y will equal negative 7 plus 2 squared, because I'm substituting 2 in for x, or y equals negative 7 plus 4, or y equals negative 3. So we have a solution to negative 3. If x equals negative 2, also substitute in, so y equals negative 7 plus negative 2 squared, which equals negative 3. So we have the solution negative 2, negative 3. If x equals 3, then substitute this in for x, y equals negative 7 plus 3 squared, or y equals negative 7 plus 9, which is y equals 2. So here we have the solution 3, 2. If x equals negative 3, substitute this in for x, y equals negative 7 plus negative 3 squared, y equals 2. So we have the fourth solution, negative 3, 2. So our solutions are 2, negative 3, negative 2, negative 3, 3, 2, and 3, negative 2. Sorry, negative 3, 2. Okay, let's look at an example using elimination. So example 2, we'll look at the system x squared plus 2y squared equals 16, and 4x squared minus y squared equals 24. So in this case, I only need to multiply one of the equations by a number. I'm choosing to eliminate my y's and multiply the second equation by 2. So my first equation will stay the same. X squared plus 2y squared equals 16. My second equation becomes 8x squared minus 2y squared equals 48. If I add these together, My y's cancel, and I have 9x squared equals 64. Divide both sides by 9. X squared equals 64 over 9. Take the square root of both sides. X equals plus or minus 8/3. So if x equals positive 8/3, let's substitute this into one of our equations. It doesn't matter which one. So I'm going to substitute it into the first one. So 8/3 quantity squared plus 2y squared equals 16. Or 64/9 plus 2y squared equals 16. Subtract 64/9 from both sides. So 2y squared equals 16 minus 64/9. 16 becomes 144 over 9. So 2y squared equals 80 over 9. Divide both sides by 2. Y squared equals 40 over 9. And take the square root of both sides. Y equals plus or minus the square root of 40 over 3, which simplifies to plus or minus 2 radical 10 over 3. Okay, we go through the same process for x equals negative 8/3. Substitute that in. Negative 8/3 quantity squared plus 2y squared equals 16. Or 64/9 plus 2y squared equals 16. Subtract 64/9 from both sides, and we get 2y squared equals 80 over 9. Divide both sides by 2, we get y squared equals 40 over 9. Take the square root of both sides. Y equals plus or minus the square root of 40 over 3. Or, simplifying this again, y equals plus or minus 2 radical 10 over 3. So we have the following four solutions. 8/3, 2 radical 10/3, 8/3, negative 2 radical 10/3, negative 8/3, 2 radical 10/3, and negative 8/3, negative 2 radical 10/3. These are our four solutions.